Oh, look. The rage is here. The elections are what are you doing there?
I'm just
the
reading.
elections are 3 weeks from tomorrow. Can you believe that?
I know, 3
It's kind of
weeks.
exciting, right?
Yeah, well,
So
could
here are the
be.
latest polls. Could be. The Washington Post, ABC News poll gives Democrats the edge. In the race for Congress, 53% to 42% for Republicans. And voter enthusiasm has increased among all voters to 77%, up 12 points from October of 2014. Democrats have seen the biggest gain, up 18 points to 81%, while 79% of Republicans are enthusiastic about voting, up 4 points. And so are 72% of independents, a 13-point increase from the last midterms. Joining us now, national political correspondent for NBC News and MSNBC, Steve Kornacki. His new book is The Red and the Blue, the 1990s and the birth of political tribalism. How do things look, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, look, now that's not the first generic poll we've seen in the last week to 10 days showing that a pretty wide gap between the two parties right there. The enthusiasm, as you just showed, it's through the roof.
Yeah.
The one thing those generic polls don't catch that's interesting to me when you look at the House, though, is potential regional and almost district-based disparities. And what I mean by that is we've got two polls, two fresh polls. You know, the New York Times has been doing all these key House races around the country, and they've been picking up on something potentially interesting. I think we can show you. Number one is this is the suburbs, I should say, of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania's first district. And this is where Democrats are counting on energy to carry them, the suburban voters, that sort of thing. This is a Republican-held district that Hillary Clinton won, and their polling over the weekend shows the Democratic challenger pulling ahead. I thought we had that one, but they're polling there over the weekend.
Sometimes they just leave you
There it
hanging until you actually tell them
good there,
that they leave you hanging, and then
So
they
there
put
it is.
up.
And this is interesting because Republicans felt over the summer, they had polls showing Fitzpatrick, their incumbent, leading here. They thought Democrats had made a big mistake in nominating this candidate, didn't even live in the district until recently. But it may just be that suburban energy to go after Trump is so strong, it overrides everything.
But let's keep that up for 1 second. I'll tell you one other thing I've been noticing in the upshot polling. During Kavanaugh and post-Kavanaugh, every race was breaking Republican. I think we are getting, and we've all said that post-Kavanaugh high that Republicans felt, that will subside. How much? Who knows? But in the suburbs of Philadelphia, this is a great test case. A 7-point lead for the Democrat in the Philadelphia suburbs, where Trump did very well. That's significant.
And I could say that also suggests to me another possibility, just a possibility, that this is also a Kavanaugh effect, but it's a Kavanaugh effect going the other way. That this is the energy against Trump and against the Republicans, because the flip side, as I said, we're seeing something interesting, a potential divergence. Another new poll is in the Iron Range of Minnesota, the 8th District of Minnesota, Duluth in the Iron Range. This is a Democratic-held seat right now, open seat. The Democrats not running again. This is one of those districts that went Obama, Trump, held by a Democrat. Over the summer, this was a dead even race, and now this is broken in a big way for the Republicans.
So what's happened in this race?
So I wonder, too, we say Kavanaugh effect. I wonder, too, if you're seeing, this is Trump country. This is white working class. This is blue collar. You know, the Trump demographics we're always talking about, and we seem to be seeing a big shift toward the Republican there, just as in the suburbs of Philadelphia and the suburbs in Kansas City and Denver and Dallas.
And that's
you're seeing the
that's
opposite.
a Democratic seat.
That would be a pickup for Republicans.
So that's another seat that Republicans or Democrats will have to pick up if they want to take control of the House. Are there any other seats like that are Democratic seats that are breaking Republicans?
Well, so there's a couple. There's very limited number of options here for Republicans if they want to pick up Democrats. There's another one in Minnesota they could get. There's one in New Hampshire they might be able to get. There's 4 or 5 I think in the country they might be able to get. The best case scenario here, I would say, though, for Republicans that they could hope for is these suburbs, these Clinton-held districts, these Clinton-held Republican seats in the suburbs may just be gone almost across the board. And the best case for Republicans is that there are just tidal waves in these suburbs, but that they don't translate into the non-Clinton, non-suburban districts, and you get sort of an isolated blue wave.
But that isolated blue wave, though, if it is in the suburbs, is still enough to put the Democrats in control.
Well, yeah, I mean, so here's your numbers. Democrats need a net gain of 23. How many Republican-held Clinton seats are there? There's 25.
And redistricting in Pennsylvania and other states.
I'm out on the road now pretty much like 6 days a week and going around and looking at these little races, House races, Senate races all the time out with the circus. And I just, there's no question that the Kavanaugh effect, we had the high water mark of it. The question, as you said, it's going to subside for Republicans. It has to, because he's on the court. He's on the court now, right? And there's a diminishing return for that argument. I sense in House races, just anecdotally, when we go around and talk to people, that the House races are not nearly as affected as some of these Senate races. There are certain key Senate races where it's going to be potentially decisive and in interesting directions.
Like Missouri.
It could be there. Certainly North Dakota. You look even at a place like Tennessee, where Phil Bredesen now, who came out in favor of Kavanaugh, is being hurt by being in favor of Kavanaugh, because all of the activist energy, all the money are like saying, screw you, you should have been against him. So it's playing in different ways. But at these House level races, to Steve's point, we were out in California last week, where there are a ton of those kind of Clinton districts that if Democrats have any chance of taking the House, they're going to take 7, 8, 9 maybe of those races out there in California. Those are races that feel to me like they are already gone. And certainly it's the case that women in those suburban districts, or if anything from Kavanaugh, to the extent that it matters in those House races, they are more fired up for the Democratic candidates than they were before.
Well, and as far as Tennessee goes, that is fascinating what you say, because what that would suggest is post-Kavanaugh, you had, of course, the Republicans going to Marsha Blackburn.
Right.
But at the same time, you had the woke wing of the Democratic Party running away from a former Democratic governor who is the most popular politician in the state. Those are the sort of things that subside. And as you get closer, John, to the election, you have the Democrats going, well, wait a second, I guess maybe we would prefer the guy who's not going to vote for everything Donald Trump wants.
I think that Pennsylvania House race is very important, because the Republicans were hoping that Scott Wallace, the Democrat in that race, was somebody who could be targeted individually as being way too left-wing for the district. He is very left-wing. He is anti-Israel. There's all sorts of stuff about him. And the national effect of the anti-Trump movement is probably going to wash him into office. Republicans need these races to be localized in order to prevent this blue wave from happening. And the polling is now suggesting that that's probably not happening.
It can't be localized in the age of Trump. It just can't be localized.
So I want to know, were we saying wow about the same thing when Heilman was talking? Final word to Zainab.
Oh, scary, 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 scary. I mean, all what I can think from a woman's perspective is that we have to get ahead of the game, and we cannot continue this divisive politics. As women, as women's rights activists also, we have to actually start looking into how do we engage in dialogue and conversation. Otherwise, this is going to be a war, and it's going to continue, and it's detrimental to us, in my opinion.
All right, Steve Kornacki, thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you,
to have
Steve.
you with
the
us
book,
this
by the
morning.
way, it's unbelievable.
The red and the blue.
Everywhere we go, people are carrying the book around.
Yes.
John Meacham even called it insightful.
Wow.
Learned.
Quite an honor. I'll take that.
Learned.
That's great.
And thought-provoking.
And
For political
thought-provoking.
fans, for politics fans, this book is like eating cotton candy.
It is. I love cotton
candy.
candy.
It is just edible from beginning to end.
Still ahead.
But don't eat it, though, John.
Barack
Don't
Obama
eat
had to release his birth certificate after Donald Trump's birther campaign, and now Senator Elizabeth Warren joins the club. We'll explain
I think
that.
she's won 532nd
Coming up on
Native
Morning
American
Joe.
or something. I don't know.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.